In August of 1992, a hurricane called Andrew came across South Florida and took the roofs off entire neighborhoods. What happened afterwards changed how houses in this state get built. Florida went and wrote one of the strictest building codes in the United States. Impact-rated glass, roof straps, reinforced block, homes engineered to stand in front of a wind that can throw a car. Your Florida house is, genuinely, one of the toughest residential structures on Earth. Against weather. Because here is the thing nobody says out loud. That code was written about wind. Every line of it, every calculation, every load rating, every fastener schedule, all of it exists to answer one question. What happens when nature attacks this building? Nobody wrote a code for a person with a screwdriver. So you end up with something strange and very Florida. A house that will stand through a Category 4 and can be opened in under a minute by somebody who is not in a hurry and does not care. And they are not looking at your house the way you look at your house. You see a home. They see a decision. Which one? On this street, tonight. That decision takes about 8 seconds and it happens from the road. Not from your yard, from a car or a bike or a walk past with a phone out, moving at normal speed, in daylight, days before anything happens. That is the part that surprises people most. The 8 seconds are not at night. Nobody chooses a house in the dark. They choose it on a Tuesday afternoon, when everything looks lovely, and they come back later. So every single thing on this list is something your house is saying at 2 in the afternoon, in the sun, while you are at work. Today we are counting down 15 things they are reading in those 8 seconds, from 15 down to 1. And I want to be clear from the start. This is not about who is on your street. Not once. This is about hardware, hedges, latches, glass and screws. It is about a house, and what a house tells a stranger about itself. Number 1 is the single most Florida thing in your entire home. It is probably the reason you bought the place. And it is the weakest point in the building by a distance that is genuinely hard to believe. Let us start. It starts before the house. A mailbox with the door hanging open, or the flag still up from days ago, or a wedge of flyers jammed in the side. That is not untidiness. That is a calendar. Because mail is the most reliable clock in a neighborhood. It comes every day, at roughly the same time, and somebody either takes it in or they do not. 2 days of buildup says something. 5 days says something much louder. The fix is not a better mailbox. It is that somebody empties it. A neighbor, a friend, a hold request. Costs nothing. This one is pure Florida, and almost nobody thinks about it. Shutters that are still up in July. Panels bolted over the windows in the middle of a blue sky week. Now, sometimes that is just somebody who left them up after the last watch and never got around to it. Fine. But the same look, on a house, in a season with no storm anywhere near the state, reads as one thing to anybody driving past. Nobody is here to take them down. And a shuttered window does something else. It works both ways. It stops anybody outside seeing in, which also means it stops anybody outside seeing what is happening in. Down when the season is over. A screen enclosure is not a wall. Everybody knows this and everybody forgets it. The screen door on a lanai typically has a latch, not a lock. It is designed to keep a breeze and a lizard on the correct sides of it. It was never designed to stop a person, and it is not pretending to. The problem is not the screen. The problem is what the screen does to your brain. Once somebody is inside a lanai, they are somewhere private. They are out of sight of the street. They can stand at your back doors for as long as they like, working, unobserved, with a roof over their head. The screen does not stop entry. It provides cover. Every Florida house has one. It is how you get to the back, without going through the house. Look at yours. There is a very good chance it is a drop latch with a hole for a padlock, and a very good chance there is no padlock in that hole. That gate is the difference between somebody working on your house in front of the entire street and somebody working on your house in a private walled corridor with a hose and an air conditioning unit for company. A padlock costs less than lunch. Put one in the hole. Landscaping is a security system and almost nobody treats it like one. The rule is simple. And it comes from sight lines. Anything under a window should be low. Anything tall should be away from the house. What you do not want is a big, soft, mature hedge directly beneath a window, because that is a room. It has walls, it has shade, and it has your window in it. Same for the palm cluster in front of the porch. It looks beautiful from the street, and it means the front door cannot be seen from the street, which is the exact opposite of what a front door is for. Cut back everything below the windows. Keep the front door visible from the road. Your house should be able to be seen, not the big door, the little one on the side, the one that goes from the garage out to the yard. That door is almost always the cheapest door on the property. Hollow, light, often original to the house, usually with a lock that came in the same box as the handle. And it is the best door in the building, from the outside, for one reason. Once you are through it, you are inside a windowless concrete room that is attached to the house. Nobody can see in, nobody can see out. And the door from the garage into the kitchen, the one everybody uses 50 times a week, is very often the least secured door anybody owns, because it feels like an interior door. It is not an interior door. It is an exterior door with a garage in front of it. Beware of dog. On a fence, on a house with no dog. This does not work, and it has not worked for a long time. A dog is not a sign. A dog is a noise. It is barking at 3 in the morning at nothing. It is the neighbors knowing that house has a dog. It is a bowl by the back step and a chewed thing on the lawn. A sign with none of that around it says the opposite of what it is trying to say. It says somebody in this house thought about security once, bought a sign, and stopped. If you have a dog, you do not need the sign. If you do not have a dog, the sign is telling on you. Gated communities are one of the great comforts of Florida living. And I want to be careful here, because they are not useless. They absolutely reduce casual traffic. What they do is something more specific than people think. A gate does not decide who comes in. A gate decides how somebody comes in. It moves the whole thing from wandering to arriving. And the real effect of a gate is not on the gate, it is on the houses. Because inside a gated community, the doors get lazy, the sliders stay open, the cars stay unlocked, the bikes stay on the driveway. Everybody in there is running on the assumption that the wall did the work. The wall did some of the work. The wall did not do your work. Treat your front door exactly the same inside a gate as you would outside one. Packages. 2 boxes on a porch is a delivery. 6 boxes on a porch, in a stack, with rain marks on the bottom one, is a message. It says these are landing and nobody is picking them up. And it is worse than mail, because a box has a date printed on it. Locker, neighbor, hold at the store, or a delivery day you are actually home for. Anything except a stack. There are about 6 places a spare key lives, and everybody thinks theirs is clever. Under the mat, in the fake rock which does not look like the other rocks, on the ledge above the door frame, which is the first place anybody reaches because it is the only place you can reach without bending down. In the meter box, under the third pot, inside the grill. Somebody who does this for a living checks all 6 in under a minute, and the reason they check is that it works often enough to be worth 60 seconds. There is no clever spot. Give the key to a person, a neighbor, a family member, a friend 8 minutes away. A person is not a hiding place. A person is a solution. Timers are good. Timers on a fixed schedule are a signature. A lamp that clicks on at 7 and off at 11, exactly every night, including the nights nobody is home, is not imitating a person. People are not that regular. A house where the same single lamp does the same single thing at the same second every night is a house announcing that it is being operated remotely. Randomized timers exist and they cost almost nothing. Or a smart plug. Or, honestly, 2 lamps in different rooms, on different schedules, that do slightly different things. Anything with a bit of mess in it. People are messy. Imitate the mess. This is the biggest one on the list that is not a piece of hardware, and it is the most Florida entry here, besides number 1. Snowbird season. Every year, an enormous number of homes in this state go quiet for months. Not days, months. Predictably, on a calendar everybody knows. That is a real thing about how Florida works, and it is nobody's fault. But it means that in some neighborhoods for half the year, an empty house is not unusual, and that changes what an empty house looks like. It stops standing out. If your place is one of them, the fix is not an alarm, it is presence. Somebody who parks in the driveway, somebody who moves the bins, a lawn that gets cut on the same schedule it gets cut in February, motion in the building. And notice that presence is a person, not a product. That is the theme of this entire list, and I want to say it plainly. Almost every real fix here is a human being. A neighbor with your key, a neighbor taking the mail, a neighbor who parks in your driveway for a month. The security industry cannot sell you that, which is why nobody says it. An alarm tells you what already happened. Presence stops it from being chosen. Those are not the same product, and they are not even the same idea. Not every Florida house is new. Plenty of this state is 1950s and 60s block, and a lot of that housing still has the original windows, including jalousies, the louvered glass slats you crank open. Jalousies are wonderful. They are built for a time before air conditioning, and they move air beautifully. They are also, structurally, A stack of loose glass panels held in metal clips. That is the whole design. It has to be, or it could not open the way it opens. I am not telling you to rip out your windows. I am telling you to know which ones they are, and to not put your best things in that room, and to understand that a window is not automatically a barrier just because it is glass in a wall. Here is the one that costs $2, and almost nobody has done it. Go and open your front door. Look at the metal plate on the frame where the bolt goes in. That is the strike plate. Now look at the screws holding it. There is a very good chance those screws are about 3/4 of an inch long, which means they go into the door frame, and the door frame is a piece of trim. They are not attached to the house. They are attached to a decorative board that is attached to the house. A door can have the best lock money can buy, and it does not matter even slightly, because nobody attacks the lock. The lock is the strongest part. They go through the frame, and the frame is held on by 3/4 of an inch of nothing. 3-inch screws, they cost $2. They go through the trim and into the actual structural stud behind it. It takes 8 minutes with a screwdriver, and it is by a huge margin the highest value security thing you will ever do to your house. Do it this weekend, on every exterior door. And here it is. The sliding glass door is the most Florida object there is. It is the whole reason the room is worth being in. It is the pool, the lanai, the light, the breeze. It is very likely one of the reasons you chose this house over some other house, and it is the weakest point in the entire building, and it is not close. Think about what it actually is. It is a very large piece of glass, hanging in a metal track that is designed to move. That is its job. Everything else in your house is designed to stay still, and this one thing is designed to slide. And to slide easily, because you use it every day with a drink in one hand. The lock on most sliders is a small latch that hooks into the frame. That is it. That is the security. On older doors, the panel can often be lifted in the track because it has to have vertical play or it would jam every time it rained. Now go back to where we started. The Florida Building Code made your windows able to take a 2x4 fired out of a cannon because that is what the wind does. Nobody applied that same thinking to the biggest opening in the house because the wind does not lift a door out of a track. Only a person does that, and the code was never about people. That is why it is number one, not because it is badly made. Because the thing that makes it wonderful, the fact that it moves, is the thing that cannot be fixed by making it stronger. The fix is not a new door. It is 3 things, and they cost about $30 total. A bar or a cut length of dowel in the track, so the panel cannot slide. An anti-lift screw in the top track, so the panel cannot come up. And a secondary lock high or low on the frame, away from the factory latch, because 2 locks in 2 places is a completely different problem to 1 lock in 1 place. And that last point is worth sitting with, because it is the whole logic of this video. Nothing here makes anything impossible. Nothing can. The dowel does not make the door invincible. It makes it slow, and loud, and awkward, and it makes somebody have to think. $30 turns the weakest point in your house